In this section, we're going to examine how to run the setup script, which will install Node-RED plus all the support stuff that we need, MySQL and Webmin and the various other utilities. Pretty simple. All we need to do is to run the setup script by typing /setup and go. We're going to need a number of passwords throughout this installation, and for the moment I'm just going to use the name of the host, which is MQTT tester. Not a safe thing to do normally. And again. And then sit back and watch the installation. Every so often it's going to need a new password, but it'll prompt you. What's happening now is it's installing things like the Apache web server, PHP, Perl, and various other support packages that are needed on Linux. Fairly boring. Just go make a cup of tea or something. Now this is where we need to enter another password for the MySQL database server, which I'm going to use the same thing, MQTT tester, and again for verification, and just watch it run again. This is Rabbitmq, which is a messaging service, and we have the MQTT module installed, which is quite a useful package because it has a web administration section, so you can monitor connections and debug and this sort of thing. So first off, it needs administrator's username passwords. We'll have an admin. It can be anything, but we use admin, and we'll keep the same password, MQTT tester. Now this is for if you're going to use Internet of Things devices such as the HAckitt and Bodgitt modules with the ESP8266. You need ideally to have a separate device name. I tend to call it remote units, and we give it the same password. And these are the details you'll enter into your IOT devices to allow them to log on to Rabbitmq. Now we can see Node-RED itself is actually being installed, and we're getting towards the end of the main utility installations. We're going to need a password in a second. You do get a lot of errors kicked out by some of these installations, so by and large you can just ignore them. So here we go, we need a password, so we're just going to use the same old faithful password, MQTT tester. Bear in mind the username for this for Node-RED to log in for editing is always admin. Unfortunately that's not changeable. Now what we need to do is set up the password which we entered earlier on for the database, the MySQL database, and this allows us to log into the database and automatically set up various bits and pieces that were quite useful databases for the Internet of Things logins, temperature records, that sort of thing. So we'll just type the same old password. Now we can opt to install a graphical interface as well, which gives us a sort of Windows-like interface on Linux, which is quite useful. So we'll just type yes and enter. This takes a little bit of time. Just tell you want to continue. Now we're at the stage where we have to decide which display manager we want. I've given you the options of either KDM or XDM. Default to KDM. I think they're much of a muchness, to be honest. So just hit enter if you want the default, which is KDM. Now this is your desktop startup. If you want to access the tight VNC server, which is a really useful and neat little package you can install on Windows. So it wants a password. It actually only looks at the first 8 characters bizarrely, but just type it in anyway. MQTT tester. MQTT tester. We don't want to view any password. And here we are at the end of the installation. Always a good idea to reboot a server after so many accesses and updates and package changes. So just hit the enter key and then log back in. Let me just close these down for the minute. In some of the follow-up sections, I'll tell you how to use the various packages that we've just installed. Thanks for listening.